The First Clash. Archivist Veilzer had studied war for over 3 centuries, dissecting the conflicts of countless species across the stars. But none had prepared him for what he found in the records of Garan 4. The colony was deemed a minor acquisition, rich in minerals, barely defended, and occupied by a fledgling race that had only recently cracked faster-than-light travel. The Galactic Confederation deployed a standard pacification force: 3 cruisers, 2,000 ground troops, and orbital superiority. Against this, the humans had a single orbital cannon, a few hundred soldiers, and an aging planetary defense grid held together by what reports referred to as duct tape and stubbornness. They were expected to surrender. They did not. Instead, they fought like cornered predators, feral, unrelenting, and irrational. Confederation forces landed with precision, only to be met with a barrage of repurposed mining lasers and improvised explosives hidden in supply crates. The humans ignored traditional formations, attacking in scattered, unpredictable squads. They used the terrain like artists, ambushing from ash-covered ridgelines, vanishing into lava tubes, planting traps in the corpses of their own dead. Veilzer's tendrils twitched in unease as he scrolled through the footage. One human, grievously wounded, crawling toward a plasma grenade with his final breath, only to pull the pin as enemy troops approached. Another recording showed a squad willingly collapsing a tunnel on themselves to bury an advancing tank unit. It was not bravery. It was something darker, something colder. What troubled him more was their silence. Human radio channels were filled with coded bursts, laughter, and strange music, primitive war chants, some of which included lyrics like "Let the bodies hit the floor." The Confederation interpreters were baffled. One even reported having a panic attack while listening. After 3 days, the invasion stalled. By day 5, Confederation commanders requested reinforcements. By day 7, they retreated. Garan 4 remained in human hands. Veilzer paused the record. "Statistically impossible," he muttered. A species barely a century into spaceflight had turned back a coalition force with centuries of tactical experience. His claws tapped the data slate nervously. A message from the field commander summed it up best. "We underestimated them. They don't think like us. They don't fight like us. They fight to make you afraid to fight again." It was not just technology that made a species dangerous. It was will. And the humans, Veilzer realized, possessed a reservoir of willpower so deep, so violently defiant, it bent the logic of war. He opened a new archive entry. Title: Garan 4, The First Clash. Subheading: The Day We Learned to Fear Humans. And as he began his report, the thought struck him with chilling clarity. This was only their beginning. The anatomy of a human warrior. The dissection of a species' martial nature is no easy task, even for an archivist as experienced as Veilzer. But after Garan 4, the Confederation demanded answers. How had a species so new to the galactic stage become so lethal? What made humans fight with such ruthless efficiency? Veilzer began with physiology. Humans were fragile by most galactic standards. No natural armor, soft skin, poor night vision. But beneath that vulnerability was an engine of terrifying resilience. Their bodies could function through extreme pain, their muscles fueled by chemical surges that kicked in precisely when death seemed imminent. "They call it adrenaline," said one medical analyst, showing footage of a human soldier lifting a collapsed support beam off a wounded comrade. "It's not just a stimulant. It's a declaration. Not yet." Their nervous systems, designed for chaos, could adapt rapidly to trauma. Wounds that would incapacitate most species only enraged humans. In one report, a soldier continued firing after losing an arm. In another, a pilot landed her burning dropship with second-degree burns across half her body, then requested redeployment. But physiology was only part of it. Veilzer turned to psychology. Humans were emotionally volatile. Their cultures celebrated sacrifice, glorified resistance, and revered those who faced impossible odds. Entire media catalogs, books, songs, films were dedicated to war, rebellion, survival. Children were raised on stories of last stands and underdog victories. Where most species avoided trauma, humans were shaped by it. They bond through suffering, said Commander Valcor, a veteran of the failed Varnas campaign. Their pain doesn't weaken them. It unites them. This made them unpredictable. Conventional tactics often failed because humans refused to behave predictably under pressure. They took insane risks. They feigned weakness. They smiled when surrounded. They laugh, Valcor said, still haunted. Even when dying. Sometimes especially when dying. Worse still was their strategic philosophy. In interviews, captured human officers spoke of asymmetric warfare, calculated losses, and psychological dominance. To them, winning wasn't just about defeating the enemy. It was about making the enemy doubt they could win at all. One soldier summed it up simply. We don't fight fair. We fight to finish. Valzer studied hundreds of battlefield transcripts. He read accounts of humans faking surrenders to draw enemies into kill zones, of soldiers deliberately infecting themselves with alien plagues to act as carriers behind enemy lines. One unit even used their own dead as cover, positioning corpses to form macabre barricades that unsettled the advancing forces. It wasn't madness. It was methodical. As he compiled his findings, Valzer stumbled upon an obscure warning embedded deep within a pre-Confederation archive, an ancient advisory in a long-dead dialect. Do not awaken Terra. Let the cradle sleep. But the cradle had awakened. It had birthed warriors the galaxy was not ready for. Lessons in annihilation. There is a difference between defeating an enemy and breaking them. Valzer had long believed that war was governed by reason, by cost, supply lines, morale. But as he studied humanity's campaigns beyond Garen IV, he realized humans waged war with an entirely different calculus. They were not seeking victory. They were engineering annihilation. The first lesson came from the Kefir incident. A human fleet of 30 vessels faced a Confederation armada 3 times its size. Outmatched in firepower, humans enacted what they later called Operation Breakspine. Half their fleet charged directly into enemy lines, drawing fire while transmitting distorted signals to simulate a retreat. The Confederation pursued, straight into the event horizon of a forming micro-singularity triggered by detonating a fusion array inside a gas giant. Both fleets perished, but to humanity, the destruction was a message. You may kill us, but we will take you with us. The second came from the siege of Varnas Prime. After encircling a key human outpost, Confederation forces believed victory was inevitable. Then the moon shattered. Human engineers had seeded the lunar core with explosive drives months prior. Its destruction rained molten debris across the planet, wiping out the siege line and much of the planet's biosphere. Interrogated survivors later asked, without irony, if their actions were effective. The siege ended, didn't it? One replied. The third and most unsettling case came not from weapons, but from whispers. The silent war. Entire sectors began experiencing civil unrest without any known cause. Civilian populations turned on their governments, strategic outposts reported internal sabotage, and dozens of key planets declared independence overnight. No shots fired. No ships launched. Human operatives had embedded themselves deep within alien society. Using cultural studies, psychological manipulation, and a web of misinformation, they collapsed trust from within. It was war fought in the shadows, silent, bloodless, but devastating. Valzer found a human intelligence briefing detailing the philosophy behind such operations. Victory isn't about battles. It's about consequences. Break their will, not their bones. It horrified him. Humans did not merely seek to win wars. They sought to ensure their enemies would never want to fight them again. Every tactic, every sacrifice, every decision was made with one goal: create fear deep enough to last generations. In the words of one human general, we don't escalate. We conclude. Valzer met with Admiral Thalvex, a respected commander who had survived the Varnas moonfall. The Admiral's expression remained blank as he spoke. They don't see war as conquest. They see it as correction. And when they believe you're wrong, They don't argue. They erase. The archivist sat in silence after the interview, his report already taking shape in his mind. There were many words the galaxy used for destruction, but humans had mastered a unique one, finality. And that, more than any weapon, was what made them feared. Why we fear them. Veilzer stood before the Galactic High Council, the great chamber silent, but for the soft hum of translation fields and data streams. Every species represented, scaled, feathered, chitin-clad, or ethereal, had sent their wisest minds to hear the conclusion of his report. The question was simple, yet it chilled the entire Confederation. Why are humans feared in galactic combat? He did not speak of weapons, though humanity had developed terrifying ones. Nor did he dwell on their technology, still primitive compared to the Athri or the Vex. The truth ran deeper, more primal. They are feared, Veilzer began, because they do not fight like we do. They do not end wars. They transform them. He displayed a hollow recording, a ruined battlefield on Zenthra 9, once a lush garden world. Now it lay in ash, twisted metal, and scorched stone, marking where a human outpost had held against 10 times its number. The humans were dead, but so were their attackers. The humans call this a Pyrrhic victory, he continued. To them, survival is optional. Defiance is not. He brought up another image. A young human soldier, smiling in a hospital bed, legs amputated, chest bandaged, hand raised in a gesture of triumph. She had detonated an explosive beneath her own position to stop a planetary invasion. Their fearlessness is not because they are immune to pain or death, Veilzer said quietly. It is because they have made peace with it. He then played a final audio recording. A voice, hoarse but calm, spoken during the last moments of a doomed fleet. We know we're outnumbered. We know this is the end. But if you're hearing this, just know, we're not going quietly. And neither are you. That recording had been broadcast on all frequencies before the humans rammed their fleet into the enemy flagship and detonated their cores. They are feared, Veilzer said, turning to face the council, because they do not seek glory, or conquest, or even vengeance. He paused. They seek remembrance. They fight so that no one ever forgets what happens when you push them too far. There was a long silence. Counselor Threx, representing the Theri Alliance, finally spoke, her voice subdued. Then should we not destroy them? While we still can. A murmur rippled through the chamber, but Veilzer did not flinch. No, he said. You misunderstand. Humanity is not a threat because they may retaliate. They're a threat because they will never stop. Not until they believe justice has been served. Their wars do not end with treaties. They end when the other side can no longer remember what peace felt like. He closed his report. One final entry, recorded into the Galactic Archive. Fear not the human fleet. Fear the human cause. Veilzer turned and walked from the chamber, the echo of his words lingering. Because in the cold dark of space, one truth now united every civilization. It is not humanity's strength we fear, but their resolve.